distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends. I'm honored to be here and would like to express my sincere thank you to the organizer, the Core Roundtable, the Thai Chamber of Commerce, and the Thai Development Research Institute, who allows the like-minded to come together as one to shape a better world. I'm sure you are aware of today's divided world, where the income inequality has risen dramatically. Most of you must have heard, probably too often, that, as the lady said, 4 billion people now is less than 4 billion. It's 2.6 billion people earn less than $2 a day. And 1.4 billion out of that live on less than $1.25 a day. And do you know that 860 million worldwide suffer chronic hunger? 840 million out of that live in developing regions. On the other end of the spectrum, 1.5 billion are considered overweight, while 500 million are obese. We are out of balance. The world's population, today 7 billion people, will rise to about 10 billion in 2050. The number of people aged 60 and above would skyrocket from 840 million to 2 billion in the year 2050. The worst is yet to come. Sub-Saharan Africa, now home to 1.1 billion people in poverty, will house 2.5 billion people in the year 2050. People on top of the pyramid, like you people, everyone in this room, cannot survive. Why? Because the bottom is shaking. More people mean more mouths to feed, more destroying the environment, and less resources for survival. Food security and exhausting environment are knocking on our doors, with the poorest being most affected. We have seen several attempts to relieve such miseries. Governments invest a great deal of building basic infrastructure and giving handouts to the marginalized. The private sector has managed to make profit of trillions and trillions of dollars each year, barely caring how they have taken advantage of the poor or destroyed the environment. The academic community has dutifully produced a large workforce for companies to drive growth, accumulated wealth. Individuals are too busy pointing fingers and minding their own business. The consequences are suburbs overshadowed by metropolitan cities, manual labor replaced by technologies, and aid dependency. The already fragile social fabric becomes weaker. The gap between the rich and the poor are much wider and wider, and the nature scarcer. Thoughtless development needs to stop. This is why we are here, not just to talk, but to look for practical solutions in order to scale up sustainable development. Thailand is lucky to have an embodiment of how to create sustainable communities. His Majesty the King believes in building national security through strengthening his people's human security, as evidenced from over 4,000 by His Majesty's Royal Initiative projects. I have been privileged to learn firsthand His Majesty and the royal family's development philosophies in the past 46 years, and I'm honored to share with you today. But first of all, I'm neither a diplomat, nor a politician, nor a civil servant, nor a scholar. I'm just a doer. I'm in fact invited here as the chairman of the Royal Initiative Discovery Institute. But my sustainable development story wouldn't be complete without first talking about my humble experience at the Ma Fa Lung Foundation under royal patronage, where I originally learned from the great teacher. She was the prince's mother, the king's late mother, who founded the foundation in 1972. The Ma Fa Lung Foundation is a Thai non-profit organization whose objective is to uplift people's socio-economic well-being in rural areas, with the focus on poverty reduction and provision of licit livelihoods. Its model project is the Doi Dung Development Project in Chiang Rai, the northernmost province of Thailand. This is what we inherited in 1988. Slash and burn, barren land, rain-fed rice provided only 6 months of the year for the family. Opium became the main source of income and the only available medicine. People had to turn to drug production, abuse, and trafficking, then human trafficking into sex trade, and as a result, its partner, HIV/AIDS. The princess mother saw through such social problems that the root cause, rise in poverty and lack of opportunity. We believe that the Doi Dung people resorted to such illegal solutions out of desperation to survive. To solve such problems, we plan a 30-year time frame. It takes time because sustainable development must integrate the works of human and livelihood development with environmental preservation. We help them to help themselves. We make sure people can continue with their own development and rise up in the social ladder even when we leave. Development must also be people-centric and based on the reality on the ground. We started the project using our own method of research and data collection. So we walked the hills, lived and ate with the people, to feel, to listen, to learn the local wisdom, geosocial realities, problems, and needs. This process is a trigger for local communities to be aware of the challenges they are facing and ready to make the changes themselves. We then put heads together with them to find solutions. We must make the community part of the solution and not consider them as part of the problem. But successful development requires more than just us and the community. We bring in stakeholders, the central government, local authorities, the private sector, and the community itself, participating in and on the project. Communication and participation are key to success, as it fosters ownership of the process from day one, which will lead to long-term cooperation and commitment. Then comes implementation phase. We gradually lift the people out of the vicious cycle of sickness, poverty, and ignorance, using the 3 S's model. In His Majesty the King's speech on gradual development 39 years ago, quote, "It is necessary to work in rural development in phases, starting with security basic human needs, with economical and effective methods, appropriate equipment, and the right principles. Not until this foundation is attained that we can improve and move to the higher economic level. If we start off with the objective of only creating instant prosperity and economic growth and disregard the impact of such economic growth on our nation and its people, there will be imbalances in other areas, which in the end will undermine prosperity that was initially intended." End of quote. So the first S is survival. The goal is food security. We encourage the people to plant what they eat and eat whatever they plant, to ensure where their next meal is coming from without having to loan money to buy the food. Essential, too, is access to water and basic infrastructure. This phase usually involves quick hits or quick wins, tangible results that are immediately visible to the community to earn trust and pave way for the rest of the program. In the case of Doi Tung Development Project, the people had no Thai citizenship and constantly lived in fear as fugitives. So we issue non-ID Doi Tung card, household registrations, and land deeds. Empathy and recognition are two very important tools. The next action taken was proving to the people that we are there to work with them and for them. We hire expert ex-opium growers to work as forestry workers, offering them a legitimate livelihood. They dug holes, planted the seedlings, and they had their first daily cash payment, which was 3 times more than they had earned from opium cultivation. This not only got the people to the survivor stage, where they could feed the whole family all year round, but also stop opium cultivation immediately. Once the people have enough food and are in good health, we move them to the higher stage of sufficiency, with the aim for them to pay back some or all of their debts and live more comfortably. They can now increase income and are becoming self-reliant as we develop further livelihood options as a means for more lucrative income. We wanted to provide medium and long-term economic cash crops for the Doi Tung people as another livelihood option. We plan to set up a company to grow macadamia trees and coffee under the forest shade, but we had no money. So I thought the cooperation of several prominent Thai and Japanese organizations, Mitsui Thailand Trading Company, Sumitomo Mitsui Banking, the Crown Property, the Siam Commercial Bank, the Ua Chu Kiat Foundation, and the Bank of Asia to establish the Novelty Company, whose articles of associated stated that after the loans are paid back, profit will be used for social development in Doi Tung and elsewhere. We chose to partner with Japanese companies because 3 reasons. First, we could get the loan from JICA or Japan International Cooperation Agency through Mitsui at the interest rate of 0.72%. Even including carrying costs, it would be no more than 1.3 per annum. Compare with the interest rate of Kunanan Panyarachun, 12% to 15% per annum in Thailand at that time. Second, Japanese companies have extensive global networks which could help tap into more seed resources and expertise. Finally, they can help with the marketing of our products. With Novelty Company and its economic forest, the forestry workers were trained to grow coffee and macadamia trees, rising their potential to a new height. Indirectly, we created coexistence between people and nature. And in the process, we became one of the first successful social enterprises in Thailand without knowing it. It all happened over 25 years ago, long before we knew the term CSR and social enterprise. We invested because we truly believe and wanted to give back to society in a sustainable manner. It came from our heart, not our head. I would like to take a few minutes to talk about CSR, or corporate social responsibility, which has been spoken before. But my version is different. Let me ask you 2 questions. Why CSR programs? What makes a good CSR program? CSR was introduced so that business can show that they are good corporate citizens, playing a part in making the world a better place. Right? But can you tell me why most businesses spend 1 million on a CSR activity, but another 10 million to promote it? Can you call this a good CSR campaign? To me, we develop a CSR program not because we want to boost our brand reputation, or as a PR tool, or to make one look better cosmetically. We do it because we care about the public and the planet. Our aim is indeed to generate more money, but as social profits to improve the lives of the people. We expanded job creation by building on various traditional skills for people from all walks of life. Some of the forestry workers were trained even further to work in the Ma Fa Luang Garden, a tropical flower garden of 6 hectares, requiring more delicate skills. On the gender issue, we create jobs, hundreds and thousands of jobs for the women of 6 ethnic groups at Doi Tung, who are skillful in sewing, weaving, and embroidery. Building on their existing capabilities, help conserve local traditions, and at the same time increase their income. At our factory, we use intermediate technology, not high-tech, manageable by the locals. We bring in designers and business experts to make sure our products stay competitive in the market. In the final S, sustainability. The people have adequate education, savings, and a plan for the future to ensure that external shocks, whether environmental risk or political and economic instability, do not cripple them. Today, the people of Doi Tung have reached the stage of sustainability. Some of the gardeners have borrowed money from us to set up their own nurseries and sell seedlings to tourists, as well as the Ma Fa Luang Gardens. Coffee growers nowadays rent coffee trees from the project. They own the trees and manage the plantations themselves. Coffee and macadamia are processed into consumer products to reduce risks of price fluctuation and limited land availability. This adds more values to the two commodities, creating more job opportunities and increases income for the people. Our coffee, when roasted, multiplies the value of cherry beans 20-fold. When branded and packaged, the value increases further. And lastly, the ultimate step in the value chain is coffee sold in our coffee bars. Today, through 15 branches of Cafe Doi Tung, we command a price of over $200 per kilo. Allow me to show you our collection for the launch of the L'Officiel Thailand magazine last year. Designed and created by our Ma Fa Luang designer, with his team from London, the US, and several universities in Thailand. The fabric was all made by Doi Tung residents. The collaboration is actually global to local and local to global relationship, lifting our products to the global level and broaden our local people's view of the broader world. The elderly women spin yarn. The middle-aged women do the weaving, and the young women are sewers. Some used to be prostitutes, some are illiterate, but when provided with opportunity, they have stable income and regain their dignity, which money cannot buy. This is the real profit of our business. The foundation has been financially self-sufficient since the year 2000. Our income reaches 500 million baht at present through 4 business units of Doi Tung brand. processed food, handicrafts, horticulture, and tourism. A variety of jobs for people of different age and skills. Most importantly, to diversify business risks. By the year 2017, the Mae Fah Luang Foundation's plan to transfer our Doi Tung development project to the local community. Our intention from the very beginning was not to monopolize the business and the people, so we empower the sub-district administrative office, the local government body, who will inherit most of the businesses, social structure, and nature from us within the next 4 years. We place our key emphasis on accountability and outcomes, not outputs. Unlike those who measure the numbers of schools built or trainings attended and how many people attended, we ask ourselves, what do the people get out of it? Every dime that you put in, cents you put in, every baht you put in, what do the people get out of it? If you can't prove it, don't ever do it. Our achievements must reflect improved holistic quality of life, well-preserved nature, and maintain morality. Economically, the income of the people of Doi Tung has increased more than 13-fold within 22 years, from $850 per household per annum in 1988, or 68% below poverty line, to $11,300 odd per household per annum last year, equal to 152% above Thailand's poverty line, from minus 68 to become plus 152. Not bad, eh? Socially, more and more children in Doi Tung attend universities, opening doors to a brighter future. Vocational trainings are also provided for local teenagers to work in their hometown, allowing them to stay connected with their roots, family, and community. That's happiness. Development that has been done for the last 26 years must be maintained and developed further, including the nature you see here. Today, the Doi Tung Development Project become a world model of sustainable alternative livelihood development. You're talking about SD. I'm talking about SALD for the last nearly 30 years, which has been replicated in Thailand, the Union of Myanmar, the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, and the Republic of Indonesia. Our development approach has been proven to work anywhere, regardless of race, religion, or country. Everywhere we follow the same development principle, focusing on people, but adapt implementations to different resources and contexts. In 2002, the Myanmar and Thai governments asked us to start our first project in Myanmar, in Yongkar village, Chan State. And now we are working with the governments of Thailand and Myanmar in the dry zone area, in Magway division, as well as from Tashilek to Mungsat district, along the Thai-Myanmar border with 4 different ethnic minority communities. We have also been asked by UNHCR to implement a profiling exercise on their behalf for 150,000 displaced people in 9 temporary shelters along the Thai-Myanmar border. This project will provide the look into their needs and dreams, for which can be made available for related parties to help contribute to the long-term development goals. We have also brought our best practices to work in Balkh province, Afghanistan, since the year 2006, through trilateral cooperation between initially the governments of Afghanistan, Belgium, Thailand, and more recently the governments of Afghanistan, Denmark, and Thailand. It all started in 2002 when the British government invited me to speak at the first drug conference in Kabul, by UNODC in Afghanistan. Since the year 2003, we have received many Afghan study visits to Doitung. This group was led by Afghan minister, 4 deputy ministers, and the governor Helmand. The governor, he's only grown 4,500 tons of opium 1 year alone. Now, this is a drip irrigation training for Afghan horticulturists, opened by the Afghan Minister of Counter-Narcotics and the Thai Minister of Justice. The delegation was funded by USAID. There were 33 trainees from Afghanistan, trained by a Netafilm company from Israel, at Doitung for 45 days. Ladies and gentlemen, very funny. Afghanistan, Muslim. Israel, Jewish. Doitung, Buddhist. They work out well together in 45 days. When they leave, they cry like anything. See, if you have the will, it can be done. In April the year 2005, the Minister of Counter-Narcotics invited us to 13 provinces in northern and southern Afghanistan, where most of the opium was being grown, even today, to see what we can do, and they asked us to help them. The year 2006, the government of Belgium, through His Excellency Armand de Decker, the Minister of Development Cooperation, provided the Mafalung Foundation with the seed money of only 700,000 euro for a development project in Afghanistan. After 6 years, that project, our A4 Sheep Bank project, has improved mortality rate and increased sheep population equivalent to over $2 million. It has also strengthened community management mechanism and led to the formation of private enterprise groups. The people don't have to grow opium or join terrorists to feed their family. We also work in Aceh. The year 2006 to 11, our malaria management program has successfully eliminated malaria in Lamtaba village with approximately 4,200 people. The program is now recognized as a model on malaria management for the entire province of Aceh of over 4.2 million people. The model is being replicated in other areas by the local team we train and has been incorporated in Aceh's provincial plan as well as other provinces in Indonesia. Most recently, we have started a 40,000 hectare reforestation in Nan province in Thailand. We aim to gain the forest back through provision of licit livelihoods and land zoning. 6% is reserve forest, 20% economic forest, 10% cultivation alien, 8% sustenance forest, and 2% residential area. This land use management ensures that people have enough cultivation land, enough to eat, and stable incomes, so they don't need to encroach on the forest. We constantly learn from trial and error and aspire to share our lessons and best practices with the world through our Living University program. Our classrooms are on the ground with grassroots scholars or barefoot scholars who are practitioners and villagers because they have the know-how and know best about geosocial reality of their land. Our students are from all over the world in the public and private sectors, NGOs, and academia. They come to us to learn how to better help shape communities in a concrete, sustainable manner. That was what we have done at the Mafalung Foundation for over 40 years. 2009, I co-founded the Royal Initiative Discovery Institute. 5 foundations of Their Majesties with different fields of expertise in rural development joined force to be a bigger vehicle to take on greater socio-economic challenges across Thailand. and to draw more governmental and corporate corporations, silo-like practices are moving towards a more horizontal structure for national scale development. In the past 60-odd years, Their Majesties have gave us knowledge, the weapon for the people to help themselves. The Royal Initiative Discovery Institute is therefore envisioned to utilize such body of knowledge, encourage the people to adopt the principle into their daily life, and for the government to embed Royal initiatives into national administrative plan. In this phase, we work closely with 4 ministries critical to rural development: Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperatives, Ministry of Interior, Office of the Prime Minister, the Royal Thai Army, along with central government and main local government partners are the National Municipality League of Thailand, the Provincial Administration Organisation Council of Thailand, the Sub-District Administration Organisation Association of Thailand, and the Village and Sub-District Chiefs Association of Thailand, to make sure we are closer to communities. I believe that we may be the only organization who brings the grassroots people to sit on a committee with the top policy makers so that policies are truly formulated from direct inputs of the community. The Royal Initiative Discovery Institute has 5 pilot projects in Nan and Chiang Rai province in the north, Phetchaburi, Uthai Thani in the west, and Udon in the northeast. The Nan project from the year 2009 to 2015 covers 40,000 hectares in 21 villages. The small-scale farmers with no agricultural land had no choice but falling victim to contract farming. They resorted to slash and burn to plant seemingly promising monocrops from some business people, hoping for what? For better access to mechanization, supply chains, market and price stability. But the truth is that survivor need is exploited to satisfy business greed. The poor people, they needed it. But the rich people, you people are filthy greed. At the expense of their independence too. It is indeed a business of robbing and enslaving the agricultural community in a cycle of endless debts. Not dead, debts. We focus on the stages of survival and sufficiency. With the know-how from the 5 foundations of Their Majesties, funding from the Royal Thai government, support from the local and central government, and the very hands of the villagers, the project area has been transformed. For instance, we support husbandry since livestock are the most valuable assets for the villagers. Before the project, livestock mortality rate was very high, leaving the villagers little meat as food and no extra meat for sale. To increase livestock quantity and quality, we established a livestock bank, providing comprehensive services, technical knowledge, feed and medicines, including livestock management, health and nutrition, and breed improvement. Ultimately, businessmen, industrialists, and consumers can benefit from the value chain. 200 hectares of deforested land was turned into terraced paddy fields, with the public and private sectors as well as local students joining forces to build the terraced fields, calculating into 17,000 man-day, with appropriate irrigation system, improved soil management, and better seed varieties, rice production per unit of land increased 4 times. Within 3 years, the income increased to nearly $1 million. One of our 158 agricultural weirs was constructed using the government budget of $77,000, while the villagers put in 650 man-days. The weir managed to raise the people's income from $17,000 to $110,000. The return on investment was less than a year. The bank, your business cannot beat us. Our second project was in Udon province. We took a sharp turn from our first project in Nan. The changes are a much smaller project area, a far shorter time frame, and a closer collaboration with local community agencies. The 2 farms that I chose, or I went to see them, one is the size of only 0.3 and the other is 3 hectares. Within 2 months, their expenses were reduced and they earned money from selling the extra yields. Within 4 months, the best practices have been replicated on agricultural land from 2 to 152 families. Money cannot always measure a good quality of life, but happiness can. After 6 months of our project in Udon Thani, a husband came back home from working in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. Family is reunited and happiness is brought back thanks to the jobs at home that can earn enough income for the whole family. The latest project agreed last week is a collaboration between the Royal Thai Army to construct a series of Gam Ling on 142 hectares in Galasin, the northeastern province of Thailand. This project is aiming to store water for agricultural use in dry season and help ease flood in some areas in the monsoon season, benefiting almost 30,000 in 53 villages. Following the 5 model projects, we are now 154 extension projects in 46 provinces. The Royal Initiative Discovery Institute has changed our role from the project implementator to a supervisor and facilitator for local governments and villages who make the transformation happen themselves. Now the people can rid themselves of debts or some of their debts. Their stomachs are fulfilled. Their rights are justified. Their voices are heard. They translate into a basic foundation of strong democracy. And democracy is nothing else but the path to sustainable development. There's clearly a pressing need to creating true sustainable practices. We here today have the will. And I hope that we have shown you one of the way in which we can create long-lasting outcomes. We can choose to place ourselves as the center of the universe, turn our backs, and live a life full of extravagance, reckless, and endless greed. Or we can choose to live a more balanced and wholesome life, where we care more for our fellow human beings and share some of what we have plenty of. Each and every one of you here, sitting here in this room, has something to contribute, whether it's compassion, knowledge, labor, funds, connections, or whatever. If we add to all of that effective management, I give this more than 50%, we can drive towards sustainable outcomes. I think we are sitting in a privileged position, all of us. We must utilize our ability, help those in need, accomplish something they alone may not be able to from their limited knowledge and resources. The time is now. The choice is yours. Thank you.